In these seats, I'll be engaging my guests on various topics about the cultural war in the immigrant home and how to intervene. My name is Dr. Cynthia Adom-Potufi. I will be your host for the show, and you are watching This is the parents edition of the Battleground show. And in this edition, we're going to be looking at a child's responsibilities in the home. That is the immigrant home. And as always, I'm not here alone. I'm here with an amazing set of parents, fathers and mothers, who would be diving into the topic with me. So I'd like for them to introduce themselves, starting from the left.
I'm Jennifer Magache, mother of three.
Or the father of three boys.
Irene Kwaksin, mother of four.
Patrick Opon, father of three.
Belinda Pontebury, mother of two.
Thank you so much for joining in the conversation today. And welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I know we're going to be having some interesting conversation. This topic is interesting in different ways, and I just want us to throw light on it to just help everybody in all immigrant homes. So in Proverbs 22:6, Bible says that we should train up our children in the way they should go so that when they grow up, they will not depart from it. And one aspect of this training is what? Home management. We all agree. So it's not just go to church, read the Bible, this, that. I want us to just look at this. What is generally, or what are the expectations of parents when it comes to chores between, just generally, let's start from there and then we can proceed. But when it comes to chores, what are your expectations as a parent for your children? What do you expect them to do at home?
I expect them to learn. As I'm doing it, I expect them to learn.
With them.
Learning by, doing it with them. Because if you don't do it like that, they will not know. And when they are grown already, they cannot, they won't know. Mm-hmm. They won't know. And sometimes too, when you start with them as they are young, they become more involved. Mm-hmm. Or they like my oldest daughter. As soon as she got home, whatever that is not right, she's like addicted to being clean.
That's good.
As soon as she get home, whatever that is not straightened up, she will make sure it's done. Because she started working as she was, that young. Mm-hmm. I involved them. So I think the key is involve them to learn.
Thank you. Involving them to learn. What specifically the chores that you pass on to your kids? I know we some of us work with them, some of them we assign, right? But what is a reasonable set of chores? We are talking to parents, we're talking to young ones. Sometimes some parents may not even know what is too little or too much. And I think we are here to kind of learn from each other. Because some of the kids, the young ones, some of them think they do too much. There's too much. Exactly, and that's why we're having this conversation. So what kind of chores should we give to our kids?
To backtrack, we were talking about responsibilities of children in the home. Unfortunately, we tend to differentiate between the gender. Mm-hmm. And females are particularly given certain types of chores in the house, and the males are given the other type. But as parents, it's high time we begin to let them all do everything. Mm-hmm. Because when they grow up, then they have hands on everything that they can have in life. The other question is about what are the expectations? What do specific jobs do we expect them to do? Growing up, we were doing everything you can think of. Now that we are in a different culture, and here there are things like when groceries are bought, you have to put them away. You need to clean dishes if there is no dishwasher. Even if In our homes, we have dishwasher. They are white elephants. They are sitting there. We still wash dishes with our hands. That we are used to that. So they have to be washing dishes. They have to be putting them away. They do their laundry when as my sister said, it should be age appropriate.
Right.
When they are of age and they can do their laundry, you do this we call participant observation, where as you do it, they observe you, and then it helps them to do it. The other thing is about doing with them motivates them a lot. So if you come from work and their rooms and other things are messed up, you can begin to help them pack them, and it will become a habit, because as they do it with you, they see, oh, if mommy or dad comes and my room is a mess, I have to clean. They have to clean their rooms. They are expected to lay straighten their beds after they wake up, and this is a teaching process. It shouldn't be happening overnight. You teach them tomorrow, they wouldn't do, but we have to consistently do it with them so that it becomes part of their lives. As everything you learn, by the time you grow up, then you master it.
Exactly.
So it's good for us to let them do everything we can think of in the house. That is age appropriate. Because if it's not age appropriate, it's not going to help.
It's not going to help. So I thank you so much for that perspective. I really appreciate it. So, to what extent, if we expect, I think all of us expect our kids to do chores, which is beautiful. To what extent do we appreciate them when they do their chores at home?
I would say, let's say for instance, you have come home from work and you are tired, and maybe they've cooked, or even taking the food from the fridge and warm it, or whatever they have done. Just appreciate that what they have done. But we overlook those things. We overlook like it's nothing. Oh, I cook it. It's just that they put it out to warm it. But for that few minutes that you are tired, at least they're thinking about you. The thought of it to do that for you, you should appreciate that. And that's something that we don't.
I'll just say thank you.
Yeah, we don't say. And we don't say thank you. Oh, I love you for doing that. I appreciate it. I want you to do that more often. They'll encourage them to do more. But rather, we'll be like, we don't even acknowledge what they have done. And then we go, like, look at how the whole place is messy. And then we start going on and on and on. So it's like, they'll be like, even when I cut my hair, they won't even see to appreciate it.
Exactly.
So they will like, okay, I won't even do it at all.
Thank you so much. That's what I wanted us to touch on. Again, everything comes back to where we came from. Where you will go to, like to the farm, you go to the market, you do everything as if you're doing, you are just, serving your parents, and it's your responsibility. We are not saying it's wrong for young people to serve or to support their parents, but again, we are in a different culture. And this culture appreciation is key. And, one immigrant child, I think we actually captured it in Two Worlds at War book. She said that whatever she does, as Mami Jennifer, you're saying, doesn't please the mom. So she doesn't even care anymore. Oh. He said she cooks, she would do everything. One time she cooked rice and she burnt the rice and all hell broke loose. Said, wouldn't you even think of the fact that I tried to cook for you? The thought of even doing it alone, isn't it good enough for you to be nice to me? So as parents, let's try not to focus on the negatives. Let's focus more on the positive, because I think that would encourage our young people more. The next question I want us to touch on is that...
Before you go on, besides the verbal praise, we can also give something substantial. Like they have this, I've forgotten, can you remind me? Allowance. Allowances are given, and it motivates them, and it helps them also to learn to save and manage money. So it's also another way we can appreciate them for what they do in the house.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So
Where we're coming from, we don't know that.
That's why we are here learning.
I know that
We are learning.
I'm buying food in the house, I'm bringing everything out. You also have to help. That's how we know it, but...
Right. I mean, it's what you are saying makes sense. It's a different culture.
And we are learning.
They don't understand things the way we understand things. So we're not trying to impose what we think is right on them, because they are growing in a different culture where appreciating what you have done for me, it's key. That even helps boost their self-esteem because already they are beaten down outside. So they don't want it to come across as you're using me, even though that's not what the intention is. So I think it's just contextualizing.
Are they also appreciative?
That would be another topic.
You have a lot of topics. You are bringing up a lot of topics.
And what do they do for us to prove that they're also appreciative for all that we have done for them?
We will talk. I think that would be another topic that we will talk about.
We have topics, so write them down.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, so the next question we will look at is that we know that in the Western world, doing chores is very minimal when it comes to a lot of homes, like mainstream home. Some people, they don't even do chores. And I'm referring to kids that are in school with our children. They don't do much. And even if they do, it's something small. Mommy, some of them, their mom cooks for them breakfast. They'll call them from their room. Hey, sweetie. Hey, Irene, you there? Come over and eat. Breakfast is ready. When they finish, mommy, you need a cup of water? Then mommy will get the cup. Honey, are you okay? Are you full? You want something? So the next question I wanted us to look at is that in the Western home, chores are minimal. And by Western home, I mean the homes of the friends to our kids. Friends whose parents are maybe Caucasians or other cultures, where they are not expected to do a lot in the home. Let's compare them to us. In these homes, the kid hardly does anything. And even if they do, it's not a whole lot. And their parents may make breakfast and call them from upstairs, honey, breakfast is ready, come over. And as they are eating, mommy will say, oh, do you need a cup of water? Do you need a cup of juice? They are always over-pampered. And these kids are growing up with our kids. So how do we... That's so true. That is so true. That's how probably we will see it. But in that culture, they don't see anything wrong with it. And our kids see these things going on. Why is it necessary to instill the doing of chores in training our kids? And I just want one person to touch on, and then we will move on to the next one. Why is it even necessary? Like our kids are seeing kids who are not doing chores. But we are telling them do chores and do it well. And we are training them how to do it. Is it even necessary? And why do we think it's important?
I think if you compare the two cultures, a lot of the immigrant families, parents are doing double jobs. Economic situation sometimes makes their situation very stressful. So they need everybody in the house to really help.
Exactly.
So in a sense where he has gone back-to-back jobs and he comes home and obviously if the house is unkempt, obviously he's not going to be happy. The second thing is that a lot of these things they may claim is abusive or I don't know to use the word, but in the end, those who go through it, when they get married and they compare their lives with those who did not experience those efforts they were given to learn those things, they see the advantage. So I think it's the way we present it. If it's done in love and it's explained why we are letting you do chores. Obviously, you put your socks here. You're going to go to college, and if you haven't learned how to clean up after yourself, your whole dorm is scattered. And, so I think if we do it in love, they will appreciate it. And in the end, they will benefit and thank us for it when they get married.
I think doing it in love. And when we spoke to the young people, like 4 groups of young people ranging from 13 to almost 30 years, they all agree that they appreciate the fact that their parents make them do chores. So our children don't hate chores. But I think, as Elder mentioned, doing it in love, like teaching them in love and not imposing and the yelling and why didn't you do it this way and all of that, being patient about it. So thank you so much for that perspective. And the other thing I wanted us to consider is sometimes we put a lot of pressure on our kids to do things. At the same time, we want them to make A's. And these kids are competing with kids who are not doing chores at home. And so how do we reconcile that? How reasonable are such expectations? Where the kid is even doing their homework and we are calling them out to come and wash the dishes. Doing their homework, we're expecting them to come down and cook. And sometimes we don't even care what they are doing. we just feel it has to be on my terms. I'm cooking in the kitchen right now. Come down and help me. But the kid might have homework that is due, like at midnight or something. So are these expectations reasonable? I mean, I want us to talk. Like, as parents, we need help, but we expect these kids also do well in school. So let's just start around it.
Okay, this particular issue boils down to communication. The young ones must be able to communicate to their parents that this is a time frame that I have to do this. And every strong relationship has a very good communication. So if you are able to communicate to your parents within this time frame, it's not always like some parents, I cannot say we are all doing well. We are not doing well, but the fact is, when you tell us that at this point in time I will be doing my homework and it's due at this time, I think the parent will be reasonable enough to hold it off from you, even if it's an assigned chore in the house. Sometimes it's just something that is emergency that she needs you. And mommy will be in the kitchen and then we'll be doing something and we'll need a hand for one thing and then we'll call you. You just have to say, Mom, I would have helped you, but please, I'm doing this. So communication is key. If we don't communicate and you get angry because mommy wouldn't know, we are not psychic. We are not able to read your minds to know what is going on. But when you tell us, we are human enough to understand that you have something else. And sometimes some of them uses this as excuse. School.
Yes.
And it will be friends. No homework. They will be engaging their friends, but they tell you, I have something to do, I have something to do. We want you to learn these skills. When you go to college and see your friends who come and eat and leave the dishes in the sink, how angry you become.
Right.
Test yourself and see the way we feel when you do that.
Exactly.
So when you come home and we are engaging you in all those things, we are helping you to learn those basic life skills so that when you go out on your own, you'll be able to live well and not get sick, because an unkept environment will get you sick.
Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Thank you so much. So yeah, doing chores is good, and I think everybody agrees to that. But there should be communication. But I'm hoping that parents too wouldn't think a child that would say, "Mommy, please, I need to finish this," it's not talking back. It's just explaining to you what I'm doing. So that is where we all have to understand each other. Another subject, and I think, Mommy Belinda, you brought it up earlier on, is the differential expectations that we put on girls and boys, like when it comes to chores. Yeah. First of all, why do we do that? Why is it that we are always trying to train girls? This is like $1 million subtopic. We are striving to train girls, like they have to clean, they have to cook, they have to, and you go to the guy's bedroom and it's like, and all of that. So number one, why do we do that? Why do we take that push-up?
I think our cultural inclination comes in because back home, girls stay home a lot. They are going to make homes and boys are away. So back home, boys were not doing all those chores in the house, like washing, cooking. All that we required of boys to do was like maybe pounding the fufu, doing something else like that. So we think we have carried it all along over here. So we think it's the same thing that we have to do. But at times, it's so. Because most of our ladies or our girls stay in homes, they marry, they make homes, and they do almost everything. So that's why we have that mentality of training the girls to do it so that they'll be good wives. Good wives and good mothers in their home.
The bad husbands.
The lazy ones.
It's true. Lazy bad husband, because we are not trained the way we were trained.
That's true. But I think, Elder, that is very true. Where we came from, even where we came from, things are changing.
Even here.
So we have come here. Right, for me, Irene.
When you step in a home and then you see the home is not well kept, who the repetition go against who?
Exactly.
Who doesn't mind the house?
Exactly.
It doesn't matter. Jamaican, Haitian, African, you enter the home and there's a woman in the house.
Exactly.
And then you see around, you would say, oh, there's no woman in the house. And then you realize, oh, there's a woman in the house. What would you think?
Yeah, it's so definitely women are
It's always
naturous.
against the woman.
Yes.
Exactly. Women
That is
are
natural.
naturous. And no matter how advanced we become, women are naturous. But let's come back to the topic. Whether a woman is a natural or not, guys need to be trained.
Yes.
You know, now as we speak, most of the young ladies want to marry young guys, but sometimes some of them feel like they're growing and maturing and being trained to become mothers, because all that happens at home is like training you to marry. But if we are not training our sons, to become responsible fathers, they are getting ready to marry, our daughters. So isn't there an imbalance? Because fine, no matter what, a man cannot take the place of a woman. That is not even biblical. Each has we all have our own roles to play. But one is not bigger or greater than the other. God created us equally, just that the man is the head of the home. So coming back to my question, why is it that we don't train, or why should we train our men? Maybe let me put it that way. Maybe we've not thought about it, but that is why we are having this conversation. That it's hurting our sons. It's really without us even knowing. When the girls are like 20, 21, you see maturity in them. If they want to marry, they would marry. They can marry. But let's ask ourselves, how many men at the age of 21 in this country are ripe to marry? Are ripe to marry. And some of the marriages that we did in Africa, it won't fly here.
No.
It won't. Because here the woman does even double, more work than sometimes the man. So let's talk. I know we may not have all the answers, but we are throwing out ideas there for parents to know that maybe the way we are training our young men, we can do better. We can do better. It's not helping us as a community and even as Christians. So I'll just throw it out.
I think Elder will be able to tell you. Have so tell us about it. You'll be able to tell us.
Yes. What we tried to do, we started letting him do what any kid, what a girl or boy would do. When he was 13, we started letting him take care of his siblings.
Right.
His mother started teaching him how to cook. I tried to show him anything that if I am not around, even if his mother is there, I will teach the older one. This is how it is done. For instance, changing the water in the boiler and certain things. Even cooking. Right now, even the youngest one can cook for himself. He can fry an egg and do. Because I grew up at that age where I was responsible for myself. So I think for me, and also I don't have that comparison, so I'm forced to teach them.
That's very, very good.
And one reason why sometimes we leave the guys alone, you will say it over and over again. I've made a schedule for you. You have to move the garbage. You are responsible for that. You will come and meet it there. And you keep on saying it, then it's going to get into another level. Like, there's argument or something. So you end up maybe asking the lady to do it because they are stubborn. You talk to them, do it. You want to get into an argument, it's going to, maybe it's abuse or it's something else.
Yeah.
It will always get into something else. So maybe like it boils down to communication.
Exactly.
You have to be, very tender, calm, in a way of even pampering.
Right. I think that is true. And I believe also that maybe
they don't pump themselves like ladies.
Exactly. But is it also possible that in our community, because we haven't encouraged that, the men too are tempted to relax? Because they know if I don't do it, my sister will do it. So I think
relax.
Right. So I think once we're having this conversation, every mother will step up. Every mother will realize that if I tell you to do it, don't do it. I won't let your sister do it. I'll make sure you do it. In our home, our son is 7 years old. He has like 3 chores to do. Like every Saturday, the girls are doing, he's also doing. But another thing I want to even bring to the fore is, what other ways can parents, fathers in particular, also contribute to this chore, like, certain example.
That's what I was
Yeah,
gonna say.
let's throw. I mean, it could be that we've not started. We are thinking about whatever it is, but again, we are educating ourselves, and we'll be wrapping up shortly.
Yes, we children imitate. So when they see their parents doing something, and you ask them to do, they know, oh, dad does that, so I can easily do it.
Exactly.
But if dad doesn't take garbage, dad doesn't help around the house, dad is always in the chair reading a newspaper, watching TV, mom is going around every time, running around, that young guy will not do it because he's never seen dad doing it. So that's, if they begin to do it, these ones will learn to do it. And again, we are in a culture where women work even sometimes more than men.
Exactly.
We are all now in the working whatever. So as you are growing up, remember the wives that you are going to marry, they will be working.
Exactly.
And you'll be having kids, and you need to take care of the house as well. Sometimes you need to rotate even to take care of these kids. And if you don't know how, then it becomes a problem. So it's high time parents begin to help these children. Something was running in my mind that it's because the opposite sex attracts. Female takes care of the home, and we tend to love our sons extremely higher than the females. So they do, but the opposite sex
You know what
attracts.
I'm saying? They learn. One time I was in Ghana, and Nana wasn't there. When I came back, Dad was telling me and my son, we are taking care of the house. I said, really?
But they don't do
It's
it.
deliberate.
No, I think sometimes the women.
How you keep everything, they're watching, they're learning. Just that because
They will
you are
do.
there, the person that, Daddy was telling me that, oh, me and my son, we are taking care. Who washed the bathroom? He said, we did. You washed the bathroom?
They look, but
They have to do. They have to go beyond that.
It's not only when we are away.
But I think the point we are trying to say is that it's in them.
Yes.
They can do it. They can do it and do it very well. So we need to push them.
Some things are very simple to do in
Exactly.
the house. For cleaning, if you observe, you can do it. But cooking,
Washing the bathroom.
you have to be part of
Exactly.
it.
You have to learn.
You have to
Exactly.
hands-on.
Exactly.
So certain things we have to call them and bring them around. I was saying that sometimes we have that kind of tender love for
towards
them,
the
for the
men.
men. So we don't pull them along. When they say, "Oh, okay,
It's okay.
he's a guy. Don't worry, you're going to marry," and then we let them go. And when they marry, it becomes a problem. Some women are suffering these days because their husband doesn't even know how to cook rice in the rice cooker. When they are hungry, they are hungry. They have to go and buy food from outside. Whereas everything else, all the main meal will be there. The little accompaniment that will be added, which is like rice or yam or whatever, becomes a problem. And then they have to leave everything in the fridge and go and buy something. So when we bring them along, learn them how to peel yam, how to do this, how to cut tomatoes, onions, and everything, they learn and they can cook.
That's
It will
right.
help them in this world and this era. Everybody can do anything because women are astronauts, and then we have women being engineers and whatever. Men are doing everything.
Men
so
are
we can all
cooks.
do it.
Mhm.
Men are
Men are
chefs.
chefs, exactly.
So men are chefs. Why don't you learn from now? And it will help.
Amen. Amen. Wow. I think the conversation is getting intense, but the bottom line is that parents, please, if you're over pampering your son, know that he's going to become somebody's husband. And Bible says we should train up our children. So just like we are training up our young daughters to be matured and beautiful and great wives in the future, let's know that we are also training our sons in the same way, so that even as you're preparing your daughter for somebody's son, you're also preparing your son for somebody's daughter, so that the balancing will be beautiful. Because a false balance is an abomination before God. So once again, thank you so much for joining in the Battleground show. And we want to take this opportunity to thank our panelists for joining us for this topic as well. Thank you, and see you again on the next episode of the Battleground show.
Thank you very much for having us.